when we practice, we want to practice in a way that will keep us practicing for a long time, right? We talked about that recently, and always, it's one of the tenets of the way I teach. But I was thinking yesterday when I was a little kid, my mom would, right about this time of the year, early spring, take us down to this store called the Children's Shop. And at the Children's Shop, we would get our little Easter dresses and our summer clothes. But you know what? We didn't get to take them home that day because they got put on what was called layaway. And layaway, does anybody remember layaway? Layaway was where you paid in installments for something. And so you had to be patient, you know, and it also was fun because you got to have this great anticipation, right? And then somewhere along the line, people's credit cards started to happen and people started paying on credit, which meant you could take the clothes home then, and if your parents weren't good at paying, then you could actually outgrow the clothes before you paid for them. And then they're either passed on or put in a landfill or something, right? And so that's kind of more how we tend to do things now instead of layaway. And so in our practice, the problem is that a lot of the time we're practicing on credit, not on layaway, right? We're borrowing against our future for the instant gratification of the present. Anybody ever done that in their practice? Yeah, every single one of us has. We'll be like, oh, just a little, right? And so we want to be really clear that we're not doing that when we practice. And we also want to not, we want to be able to feel fulfilled in our practice as well. So there are three main things that we're really cultivating when we're practicing. And those are, they have Sanskrit names, and I'll explain those in a moment. But the first one really is that there's a sustainability of our practice. In other words, we're not borrowing against our future in the practice. We're not living outside of our means in our practice, and we're creating it in something we can do for a long period of time. And that is called cultivating ojas, right? Cultivating endurance, stamina. We talked about that the other day, I think. And then the next thing we're cultivating is called tejas. And tejas is the inner fire and an inner radiance, really. And that this radiance that we're cultivating is that which is the spark and the smoldering desire of the practice and the action behind the practice that never goes out and never burns out. And so cultivating this radiance within that, you know, when you've been practicing for a long period of time, or you've been practicing sort of consistently, and then maybe you even see yourself in the mirror and you can see your eyes are really bright, and maybe your skin has an inner glow to it. That's tejas. That is like this radiance of the self and an inner luminosity. Then finally, we practice for prana, life force energy. And we're practicing to both have resources of life force energy available to us to create a container that will hold, you know, a wealth of resources of life force energy. And we're also freeing up things that are blocking our life force energy from moving, right? So we don't want to keep paying bills that are blocking us from thriving and expanding, right? We want to free up that so that we're inwardly flowing. And that is, these three things together are we're always in these places of moving and making, in some ways, strategic decisions in every pose. Will this be sustainable over a long period of time? Am I practicing only for this moment, or am I practicing for this moment and for myself in 10 years? Am I practicing in a way that is going to give me an inner radiance, that is going to be a fire within that doesn't burn out, that doesn't go out either? And then finally, for this greater flow and the building of the wealth of the life force. So when we practice, it's moment-to-moment awareness of these three things, which adds some meaning to the practice.